sports and aquatics today at ymaryland.org. And we are back, as promised, with Kevin Plank, the CEO and founder of Under Armour. Kevin, thanks for spending some time with us here at Sagamore Farms.
Stan, it's a pleasure to be here and have you guys here.
All right. Hey, I wanted to talk about the concept of constructing, because you founded Under Armour and you started a company from scratch that's now one of the most influential companies in the sports world. And now you're trying to rebuild something that was once great, and you're trying to make it great again. Could you talk a little bit about the differences and similarities?
Well, grab a shovel and start digging, whether it's building or rebuilding. So the two processes, frankly, aren't very different. I spent a lot of time talking about what philosophy are we putting at Sagamore? What are we trying to accomplish? And more than anything, it's a lot of the same principles that we use at Under Armour. It's the same playbook we're running, which is start with great people. Put great people around you, empower them, give them a budget, hold them accountable, and let them run. And we've been extremely fortunate with the team that we have here, from my farm manager, Tom Mullican, and the team that he's assembled with, inside and outside of the team, and from the grounds crew and Jonathan, the team we have here, to a guy named Dan Rosenberg, who ran Three Chimneys for 30 years, has been consulting with us for the last 4 or 5 years since we bought our first string of horses. So you have history and people in. Bob Feld, who's our bloodstock agent, who helps us. Our accountants and lawyers, it goes down to put good people around an object, give them a goal, give them something to shoot for, and let them build, and good things will happen. And so we've been very fortunate with that.
The passion for racing, where did that come from? I know you played ball, so you were interested in sports, but were you always a horse racing enthusiast?
Well, I was. So I got my itch at the Preakness when I was a student at Maryland, and we used to spend time on the infield, which there's been many YouTubes about what happens on the infield. So I definitely cut my teeth.
You were an early day Pegasus.
No question. We cut our teeth the right way, and left sunburn and feeling good by the time the Preakness day was over. But it really started with a passion for Maryland more than anything else. Is that probably the most disappointing thing to me has been the way that racing's been treated in the state, especially the last 4 or 5 years. And it was about 4 or 5 years ago when it was finally people piling on and saying what racing needed, and it needed slots, and it needed this, and it needed infrastructure, and it needs all those things. Don't get me wrong. But probably what it needs more than anything else is it just needs a great story. And you look at it, and there almost became an indifference to the way people were viewing the racing, and particularly the Preakness in the state. And the Preakness is the one day of the year where the entire state, the entire region, frankly the entire country, if not the whole world, looks at the state of Maryland and says, what's happening? What happened at the Preakness? And for us even to consider letting that race go someplace else and think that's okay, to me would be just a horrible mistake. And you have to ask yourself, why would we allow that to happen? Why would we let that? And so I looked around and said, somebody should probably do something about it. And at the time, I figured, in fact, I fit the profile.
Why not me?
And so, why not me? I like that.
Sagamore Farms, was there much of a chance that you were going to just buy a new farm and start it? And what appealed to you about the rebuilding of Sagamore?
Well, we talked about it, and very briefly. And then it basically ended up with, in order to change the way people think, you need to attack. I'm a big believer in, I'm not a single approach person. I like attacking not from just the front, I like attacking from everywhere. And so if history is what can get people involved and excited about racing, then history is what we're going to give them. And so Sagamore Farm, what used to be the greatest probably farm in our state was a place called Glen Riddle Farm, home of Man of War, War Admiral out on the Eastern Shore, which today is track housing and a golf course. And thinking about one of the next great, arguably maybe the greatest farm was Sagamore, 17 miles from north of Baltimore, right here in our backyard, home of Native Dancer. And to think that someday this could turn into track housing and a golf course someday would just be a crime. So the idea was, let's ignite the history. Let's take a flag, let's stick it in the ground and say, we purchased Sagamore Farm and we're going to rebuild racing here. Has all the history to do that.
Has there been a moment in time since you've done this that you've questioned, am I into something that I'm passionate about but that I can't get to resonate with other people?
Well, the relationship I keep with the farm is this. People like talking bloodlines with me, all the time when they see me and tell me about this horse. And I'm okay with the bloodlines, but I'm not. As I say, we have shared responsibilities. So I tell Tommy and the entire bloodstock team, as they put it together, their job is to make sure that the horses win. My job is to make sure whether anybody cares whether the horses win or lose, right? And so as you think about what that role and that responsibility is, it means I use this statement a lot, stay smart enough to be naive enough to not know what we can't accomplish. So whether it's, I say things, our mission statement reads, win the Triple Crown. And people are going, win the Triple Crown? It hasn't happened since '79. You know, how's that going to happen? And you say, well, why can't we? And that's I believe that we will win the Triple Crown.
My wife has an expression that nobody told me we couldn't do. I couldn't do it, so I just did it. That's the same thing. What's the goal right now? You know, you have, 8 broodmares right now at Sagamore, and what's the ultimate goal there?
So if I had a perfect job, is that the vision we have for the farm is to be self-contained right now. There's a lot of impressions of what's happening with racing here. Fortunately for us, the first decision we made when we bought the farm was to put the perimeter fence up and make sure that we control the controllables. We control our own destiny. And that means our own track. We have a 3/4-mile track outdoor. We have a 1/4-mile indoor track here. We have 190 stalls in the barn. We have our own trainers. We have our own jocks. We want to raise, we want to breed, we want to race them off of this farm. And that really puts the onus on us. And if we had a vision, this farm would have 15 to 20 quality broodmares, which would give us, 8 to 10 good shots at the Kentucky Derby every year and the Preakness and the Triple Crown races. And, it would put us in a position to, have great quality of horses that would race there too.
We appreciate you taking some time. We really do. And, one of the things about racing is storytelling, and it looks like you're building some great stories here.
Great product. The 4 principles I call it under them. They call them our 4 pillars. Build a great product, tell a great story about our product, service our business, and build a great team. That means the people, and of course it means the horses. Big hat, no cattle's not too good.
All right. He's Kevin Plank. He's the CEO and founder of Under Armour. We thank him for coming in and talking. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Dan.
In the horse racing world, all eyes are on Baltimore this weekend, and you can get all the Preakness coverage you need at csnbaltimore.com. Get John Eisenberg's take on the infield festivities